Hello, 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 folks. Welcome back to more of the grade 9 Pascal paper. That's the multiple choice paper put out by the University of Waterloo. And we're looking at the year 2001 paper. We're up to question number 11. And question 11 says, Sahar walks at a constant rate for 10 minutes and then rests for 10 minutes. Which of these distance, d, versus time, t, graphs best represents his movement during these 20 minutes? So we have 5 graphs here, and this is one where they're directly giving us potential answers. I mean, they always give us potential answers because it's multiple choice, but there's not a best way to work out what the right answer is. This is one where we're sort of going to have to eliminate certain answers. So I'm noticing constant rate for 10 minutes and then rests for 10 minutes. Now, rest draws my eyes immediately. If you're resting, your distance isn't changing. The time is always changing, but your distance isn't changing. So the distance should just be a horizontal line at that point because I'm not changing distance. At this instance, I've gone a kilometer. At the next instance, I've gone a kilometer. My distance isn't changing. It's staying at a kilometer. It's a constant value while I'm resting because I'm not moving. I'm resting. So let's take a look at our 5 graphs and see so first 10 minutes is up till 10, and the second 10 minutes is from 10 to 20. So here we have a constant line in B. And so a constant line from 10 to 20. So B could potentially be the right graph. C would not be because it's not a constant distance. Our distance isn't resting. It's not sort of flatlined from 10 to 20. It's flatlined earlier. So indeed, they would have been resting for 10 minutes and then started moving in some way. A, no, we don't have any flat line between 10 and 20. D, we do. We absolutely do. So D is possibly the graph. So D and B, these are potential graphs. And E here, again, this person rested for 10 minutes, and then since their distance is changing, they must be moving between 10 and 20. So they rested for the first 10 minutes and then moved for 10 minutes. Whereas here we have walks for 10 minutes and then rest. So the rest needs to come second, so B or D is one of our graphs. Here is the graph that we're looking for. So we're just writing an explanation here. So our 2 possibilities are D and B. I believe B looked like this, and I think D looked like this, a line. But let's just double check before we move on. Yeah, so B is sort of a curvy thing, and D is a straight line and then another straight line. So using our second piece of information, rests for 10 minutes, we were able to eliminate 3 of the possibilities. So at this point, if you didn't know how to finish the question off, we've narrowed it down to 2 possibilities. I would take a guess. Because with your question worth 6 marks, your average of being right is 50-50 if you're just guessing between 2 things. So 50% of the time you'll get your 6 marks, 50% of the time you'll get no marks. So on average, if you guess on here, on average you'll be getting 3 marks. And 3 marks is better than no marks. And it's better than 2 marks, which you would get if you left it blank. So if you can narrow it down to 2 out of 3, or sorry, choosing out of 2 or choosing out of 3, I suggest you take a guess. But randomly guessing out of 5 possibilities, always leave it blank. Okay? But we're not going to stop there. We're going to actually finish up the question. So between B and D, which one are we going to choose? Well, the other piece of information is we walk at a constant rate for 10 minutes. Okay, constant rate. So if you're walking at a constant rate, you could say constant speed instead. So first 10 minutes. Sahar moves at constant speed. Now we have distance, we have time, and now we're talking about speed. Distance is time times speed. And we can this is sort of a general formula that you should know. They bring up these questions every once in a while. You'll get a distance and you'll get a speed and you have to figure out a certain time or other things like that. This is I've always seen this represented as a triangle. That's how I was taught in physics. If you have distance and then we have time and speed. So if I wanted time, I cover up time and I'm left with distance over speed. So time is distance over speed. If I had this triangle written down here and I wanted speed, I cover up speed and I know that speed is distance over time. Or if I want distance, I cover up distance and distance is time times speed. They're on the same level, so we multiply them. So these triangles are good for these sorts of things. I'm trying to think of another one. I know there are a bunch of them from physics. Nope, nothing's coming to mind. But density, volume, and mass, I think. Yeah. So another one is mass over volume is density. Density times volume is mass. So here's another one. So this is density. That's volume. So these are just little things that can sort of help you. I usually write them down in this triangle form because it's a nice way to remember it. But we're talking about distance, time, and speed, and we know his speed is constant. We know Sahar's speed is constant. So speed is distance over time is constant. So we'd get something like the distance is 5 times the time. So maybe the speed is 5. So that's the sort of thing. And this looks like the equation of a line. Not a weird sort of half parabola curve. So our first 10 minutes should look sort of like a line. My 5s kind of look like S's, so I'm going to change this to a 4. So I'm going to say D is going to be our final answer because it's got the flat line from 10 to 20, and it also looks like a line for the first 10 minutes. And moving at a constant speed, our distance should look like speed times time. If speed is a constant, we could say it's like 4 or 3 or something, and that looks like the equation of a line. So that's what tells me to choose D. So D is going to be our final answer, and that's question number 11, a nice little thinking problem rather than some actual math. I don't think we did a single real calculation here. So that makes it a very nifty question. It sort of stands out. So in the next video, we're going to take a look at question number 12 on the 2001 Pascal. So join me for that question in the next video.